Welcome to Botches Off-Road, and today we are going to do a little cool, it's not necessarily a prompt topic, but it's going to be worst overlanding, creepiest overlanding experiences, and we're going to pull these from places that we've been reading them from, like Reddit or other blogs and forums, and we're going to talk about them a little bit. We're going to read the story, we're going to talk about them, and kind of go from there and see what we think. It's just me and Alex today. Alex is still busy, so we're gonna do it ourselves. We spent like just 30 minutes or something.
You mean Mark and me?
Oh yeah.
You said Alex.
Damn, my bad. Alex is out of here. Mark is here. Mark's cooler anyway. So yeah, so me and Mark are gonna talk about this and we're going to see what we think. I'm going to read some stories I found he's never heard. And then he's going to post some to me. And we'll see if we could just see some really cool stuff or some really crazy shit. Maybe we'll talk about what we could do to avoid them. And maybe hearing the story yourself will keep you from making the same thing happen. Who knows? So I'm going to get started with this. And this is on Reddit on our overlanding. So the prompt was worst overlanding experiences. I've been the guy prompts and says he's been overlanding for 3 years now. He's been camping ever since he was a kid and always hears stories about people having their best overlanding experiences and all these cool pictures and this and that, but he never hears anything about the worst overlanding experiences. So he wants to hear some people bring those in. So I'll give everybody a chance. If anybody's got any horrible overlanding experiences, whether that's creepy, involving weird stuff, or just, a shitty time that you had that you can kind of look back on and go, yeah, that's second-rate fun, that kind of thing. Why don't you give us a call or send us a message on our Instagrams or anything like that and just let us know. Tell me what you think, and we'll get back to this and read them, because I think maybe we could do this a couple times for just an episode and if people like it. So we're going to start off. One guy answers. His name's Superad. He says, nice question. Got me thinking. I've been traveling south and East Africa in a Land Cruiser, and off the top of my head, he goes, I got assaulted and held captive by 6 men in an isolated campsite in Zimbabwe. Vehicle was partially ransacked, but out of a 30 to 50 minutes of this, the men gave up and depart once my wife starts screaming at them and I calling away. He goes, number 2, dropped the rear end of the chassis in quicksand crossing a riverbed in Nambia. Thunderstorms were coming soon. There was a tree 45 degrees off the side at the limit of the winch line. Got out shortly before the rains came again. Without that single tree or winch, I'm sure the brand new Overlander would have been destroyed. Nobody within distance to help, given the impeding rains. He said, and this is the same guy, by the way. Number 3. Driving at night in Botswana just 2 months into our journey, one of the top rules is never to drive at night. Harrowing experience with oncoming traffic and broken tar road shoulder that is unmarked and severely broken, making the road surface narrow. A hold on for your lifetime, he says. One of those kind of hold on for your lives. In over 500 plus days driving, I only had to drive perhaps 5 times at night. Runner-up night drive is the streets of Dar es Salaam, or Salam, I don't know, Dar es Salaam. Absolute chaos, but at least a slow speed. For wife suffered severe eye injury from the wayward end of a bungee after an immediate medical attention that day. We next went to Kalahari. It's a game reserve, and it's very remote. Issues arise from the meds that we have, and we rush out to the hospital many hours away as the wife has a severe ocular pain. This guy has been through some shit. Number 4, malaria, no fun. Thanks given to a local family that treated me. Number 5, crossing borders. I could pick a few examples, but let's say it's intimidation based, and you wonder if you actually are able to get through the border in the first place. Number 7, another on the medical front for me. I was solo at the time. Big weakness in my body and losing consciousness, and I can't even make it over to the other campers. I pass out and come to hours later saying to myself, well, at least I didn't die. Aside from that are all brilliant times and 1,000 times more than these examples, and no regrets. In fact, I'm still here now in South Africa, solo, and keep chugging. Holy crap. That guy, that's crazy. I mean, when you think of like what we do, and this almost makes me want to like remove Overlander from my like repertoire, right? Like when you hear the kind of shit that he's gone through and like high stress situations, this almost makes you go like, damn, am I really even like, I'm just kind of like Carter landing. I'm not even like, nothing serious, man. This is crazy. We got another one that says, I drove my 4Runner from Canada to Baja, Mexico. I wanted to check out this remote surf town on the Pacific side. At the glance on Google, the town has all the amenities a normal small town would have, e.g. hotels, restaurants, rental stores, etc. When I arrived in town, it was way less developed than I had envisioned, which didn't matter, and I didn't think much of it. I saw a rickety wooden gasolina sign just before town, and where is it? Okay, there it is. Sorry, I lost my place. And headed to my campsite. Camp was awesome. It was a cliff on the edge of the ocean. The next morning I wanted to leave and needed gas, only about a quarter tank left, and headed back to the gas sign, and there was no gas station anywhere in town. I drove around for 45 minutes looking for someone who spoke some English. It turns out that the gas station is a local who sells gas when he feels like it, from barrels in a little brick building beside a liquor store. The quote-unquote gas station has zero signage of any kind. Once I found the gas station, I spoke with the owner. He initially said it would cost $1,400 to fill my truck. He was a bit older, and there was a language barrier, mathematical errors, but we agreed on the $140 for 70 liters. That's the going rate for gas down there, and it worked out in the end. Being in a town with no conventional gas station is a crazy experience, and I've never had before, and it was not a good feeling. Yeah, you could say anything you want about the language barrier. That guy knew she or he was desperate and was hoping to get $1,400 out of that. I mean, that would have made him rich. That's a good day for him. All right. Let's see. I got one that says, I live in Houston, so any real overlanding destination takes at least 8 hours to get to. Big Bend, Paul Duro Canyon, we've been to Colorado, Arizona, etc. But one time I wanted to just get away from a night. I packed up, planned very little, and thought, a beach trip sounds nice. Went down to Galveston, Bolivar Peninsula. No beach parking. Went up to the coast, to High Island. Druggies and homeless people were eyeing me in my truck. Definitely not getting any shut-eye with them around. Then decided to just go a bit further east on the beach to Sea Rim State Park near Port Arthur. Had to drive through a chemical plant to get there. The air was orange, and you could hear the refineries and see the glow of tanker ships coming in. Let's see. Yeah. I packed my shit and drove 2 hours back home. That sucked. Yeah, you know, I think, and I talked about this with Benji when we did the podcast, which will probably be already out. But I talked about this. In Michigan, we have a thing that is basically, I guess it's not a saying, but for campers and travelers in Michigan, it's like once you get over the bridge, you could make that sigh of relief. It's like you hit cleaner air. You know, your worries kind of melt away a little bit. You're in a new place. Everything's just, it's like grass is always greener on that other side.
Yeah.
And the bridge is that boundary for me. I don't know if it's like that for you, Mark, but once I hit that bridge, once I come through Mackinac City, I can smell the lake air. It's cooler.
Mm.
I can hear seagulls chirping and shit because people like to give them their fries, but they're all around. And I just know, like, dude, I'm going to be over the bridge soon. Like, everything's going to be all right. And if you don't have, like, one of those, that's, like, the one great thing I love about Michigan is we have a basic barrier that tells you pretty much, like, when you're in peace area. Like, I forget sometimes that people, like this person from Texas, sometimes they can just drive and they're still in a shitty area. But, like... Once you, I mean, there's not that the UP is free of druggies or anything, but it's nowhere near. There's not giant oil refineries or anything. The most that you're going to hear from oil tanker ships or anything like that is you're going to hear the freighters off the beach that are going around the Great Lakes, and that's not an unpleasant experience for me, actually. It's kind of cool hearing them, that low hum. People who haven't experienced it, it's just kind of like everything's super quiet. You can hear the lake. You can hear the waves crashing. But then you just hear this. And it's the freighter engine moving and, you know, chugging through the lake. And it's super, super calming. Like, it's not loud or crazy annoying. Maybe it is for someone. But that is the best. Super relaxing. I'm all about this stuff. All right.
Yeah. I think it was our Kiowa Peninsula trip for the 7-hour plane crash trail. I think it was the first time I ever heard a loon. And I thought it was like an elk or something else.
Oh, yeah.
Out there making noises.
Yeah.
We were just near a big enough lake for them to land in, so that's what we were hearing.
Yep. I know exactly what you mean, dude. If you've never heard a loon before, that can be kind of scary
Eerie.
the first time you hear that. Yeah. The same thing with like screech owls. Screech owls are like barn owls. Barn owls sound like a small child being murdered. So that is pretty nuts. All right, so I think these are the two that Mark just sent me. Let's see here. I had to copy them. It kind of was a weird how it kind of came through.
Yeah.
All right. So I got one that is, and you could stop me if this isn't put out or formatted right. Camping in a ground tent along the Mexican border on the Devil's Road. We wake up to a pitch black. Oh, in the pitch black to the sound. Huh?
I see that. I see how that came out. I didn't even pay attention to how that came out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's all right. Camping in a ground tent along the Mexican border on Devil's Road. Wake up in the pitch black to the sound of voices. I think I'm imagining it and lay back down. Not long after I hear footsteps and brush moving. Slowly but surely, I can make out whispers in Spanish. They move around the camp slowly and circle my buddy's tent. Then I heard a crush just inches from my head near my tent. I was freaking out and praying that they were immigrants, not smugglers. And then I heard the car doors latching and pulling as they tried to get into our vehicle. Thank God I had locked it, or they may have stolen it along with our campsite supplies and communications. Eventually, after what seemed like ages, they left. That is one of my biggest fears is going out to a remote area and then having something like that happen. I mean, that's why I carry, because I'm with my family and there's no way. I leave my truck unlocked at night. Like, I shouldn't have to lock it where we go. So, sometimes I leave the windows down, the doors open. It just depends on how confident of the area I'm in. But anything can happen, dude. You never know. There could be a crackhead that went down that same road 4 weeks earlier, and is only a mile away from you. Who knows, you know? So, yeah, I always carry. I always have some kind of protection against something like that. And me and Mark talked about this before we started this episode, and we might do one depending on Alex's vote, but might do like a camp security and awareness episode, talk about that a little bit. But and maybe this is a good prep for that. You know, we're telling all the scary, crappy stories, and maybe this will show people like what could happen, and then what we do to prepare. We're in a pretty safe area, so it's not like we have to do anything crazy, but we do also know how to if we didn't feel safe and we had to stay. I don't know if it's Independence Overland or Ozark Overland Adventures. They make a mention of this one time that, like, sometimes you'll get to a site and there's just something in your gut that tells you that I don't like this site. It's not that you're it's not that there's anything particularly wrong with it, like scene or like what it looks like or anything. You just get a gut feeling.
Yeah. There's no signs. It's just a feeling.
Yeah, maybe it feels a little eerie. Maybe it's just too quiet. Stuff like that. And they always recommend that you just stick to your gut. And there's a couple of scary stories out there that those guys have talked about. Maybe not Ozark Overlanding with Matt McClellan, but Independence has kind of talked to where they've like ran into a guy and they don't want to mention too much on there, but it happens. I mean, it's an eventuality. It'll happen, and you know, your gut senses, the feelings that you get are a survival instinct that are kind of, you know, buried really deep down in your own body. So if you start having that, then, you know, follow it. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Yep. You go to a different camp and you don't have that same feeling, and, you know, whoop-de-doo, you had to drive another couple hours, but you feel safer. Okay. You know, and I always listen to that gut feeling. I've had that a couple times, honestly, where I was just like, yeah, I'm not feeling this site. You know, it's not necessarily that I saw any signs pointing to it, but me and Sienna would get out of the truck, and there was no forest sounds at all. No trees, no river, no nothing. It was just dead quiet. And I'm like, and Sienna got out, and she just stayed kind of close to the truck, and I was like, I don't want to sound like, I told her, I said, I don't want to sound like a pussy. I was like, but I don't like this area. I don't know what it is. I said, I just feel, this feels off, weird. I'm having a weird feeling. And she goes, oh, me too. I'm like, that settles it. Get back in the fucking truck. Let's get out of here. So it's not necessary that you have to feel anyway, but if you get that feeling, listen to it, and the worst that can happen is you find yourself in a different area and you're fine. So anyway, moving on. We'll go to your second one you got here. Let me take a breath here because I'm talking so much. Ooh. Yeah, okay. My girlfriend and I were camping near a really old bridge by a river. It's a beautiful area and one of my favorite spots to camp. Anyway, about 1 a.m., we wake up to a huge splash in the water. Since we were the only ones there, I was obviously confused. I got out and put my flashlight on the water and nothing. I got weirded out and got back in the tent. Not long after, we heard it again. This time, it sounded like... this time I had the light out and was ready. I put it right out on the river and nothing again. I was getting concerned, and it was a huge splash which sounded like someone jumping off a bridge. The strangest part was it was in the calm waters, so there wasn't even a ripple. I spent the rest of the night awake and continued all night long after about 30 minutes or so. You know what, in your opinion, I see if you come to the same conclusion, what would you say that was? If you had to guess.
I mean, river-wise, I would assume it might have been a fish hopping out, but at the same time, at nighttime, I don't know, that's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it does happen, like carp and stuff, you know, fishing at night, but I'll let you think in my opinion, is a beaver. Beavers are in flowing water. They build the dams, and they're extremely territorial. If you're around the area that they're in, they will defensively slap their tail in the water, and it sounds like something like someone jumping in the water. It's a loud smack. They have a very wide tail. It's very loud, and the first couple times, if you don't know what's doing it, it scares the shit out of you. Now, I can't explain the no ripples thing. Maybe he just wasn't quick enough to look where the sound was. I don't know. But he also said it was a river, and river will tend to wash out those ripples a lot quicker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you get a beaver
ripple that much.
Yeah, so to me, that was what it would be. It could have been Bigfoot slapping a rock in the river or something, but much more believable, I would say, would be a beaver tail slap that they do. Yeah, they do as a defensive posture. So that is an interesting one. That's the only one I've been able to hear so far that maybe has, something else there. Here, let's see. Ooh, what'd you pop? And what's spilling? Ooh, a Werner's. He's getting better,
I think
guys.
it's partially frozen.
Yeah, that could be. For anybody who doesn't know, Werner's is Michigan medicine. You have a broken leg, you have a sore throat, you have cough, congestion, you just had a mild heart attack. Drink Werner's. It's a ginger ale, and it's like a Vicks vapor rub. My family, my wife is Hispanic, and they use Vicks vapor rub to heal everything. Like, oh yeah, you got a bruise, throw some Vicks vapor rub on it. You got, any kind of bodily injury, throw some Vicks vapor rub on it. And that's what Werner's is. So if you want to heal overnight, rub your body in Vicks vapor rub and drink Werner's, and I guarantee you're going to feel like a brand new person. All right, so moving on, I found another one. I haven't read it yet, so I'm going to read it as I read it. So hopefully it's good. Might not be a creepy one, but it doesn't have to be.
No.
Not a proper overlanding trip, and not terrible, but I look back and laugh about it frequently. My girlfriend at the time had come to visit me. That's never a good sign. Girlfriend at the time. My girlfriend at the time had come visit me while I was working in Las Vegas for a few months, and we decided to take a trip down to LA and hit the beach and get out of the heat. She learned early in the relationship not to wonder where we'd be sleeping on the road, since home was where we parked it. And it was usually a last-minute decision unless we were on a well-planned trip with a set destination. That also sounds familiar. I had a really cool spot up in the San Gabriel Mountains that I'd driven past with a gorgeous views of the city and remote enough, so I figured we could grab something to go for dinner and camp up at the spot I had found during the previous trip. We got some burgers and started making our way north to the exit off I-15 up to the Cajon Pass exit. Cajon. Cagon Pass exit. We left pavement a mile west of the interstate and found about 4 or 5 miles I hear a god-awful screeching sound coming from the driver's front wheel. Okay, odd. That came in all of a sudden, and I immediately dropped and started expecting it. Couldn't see shit. I pulled out the jack in my tire iron just to realize that I have the socket handle, the 3/4 inch socket to fit around the spline socket, which only had a 3/4 hex instead of a slot for the drive to insert into, but no spline socket. Fuck. I realized I must have left the spline socket at the Airbnb in Vegas after the recent brake job, so I have no way to get my wheel off. I was 99% sure it was a rock jammed in between the brake rotor and heat shield, but there was no getting in with the wheel on. I was also nervous to move it at all with the sound in case it was something worse. No cell service, and we hung out and ate dinner while we decided our next move. While we were eating, some kids drove by in a Raptor, and I told them about the situation, but they didn't have what we needed, and it was too late for them to hit an auto shop or a parts store to see if they could find the socket I needed. We eventually decided to just limp back to the pavement and get a motel room for the night. We pull into the motel room and finish the rest of our burgers. While we're sitting there, we talk more and decide to take back roads to limp the truck to the closest auto shop and sleep in the parking lot and see if we could get a problem fixed in the AM without a tow bill or paying for a shit motel. I reverse out of the parking lot, and Viola, the sound is gone. If I had just put the damn thing in reverse, I would have dislodged the rock. At that point, it was pretty late. Since we were planning to drive back to Vegas the next day anyways, we decided to keep heading north on I-15 and found a great spot on I-Overlander to crash for the night. Yep, I've had that happen. Brakes lodged, rocks lodged in our brakes is very fucking common, and it always makes a crazy sound, so it's not really surprising. Let's see.
No.
Took my Civic up to the Olympic National Park and set off the alarm at 3 a.m. Took me almost 5 minutes of fumbling because I dropped my keys while sleeping on them. Felt pretty good about that one. Let's see what else. Overall, my camping experience have been pretty amazing, but I'd say the worst was when I was camping in Vancouver Island, British Columbia. A beautiful place riddled with mice. I'd hear a bunch of mice down below the wreck Hold on here. Let me see. I'd hear a bunch of mice down below wreak havoc on in my car at night. Sorry, I'm reading this from other people, and their typing styles are very different, depending on on their education, I guess. I don't know. They even came up on top and crawled into my rooftop tent while I was trying to sleep. I think one had eventually made its way inside one time, and the AM, I'd see the damage. Piss and shit everywhere, and they took a bite out of just about everything. Oh, yeah. And there would always be that one mice that fucks up and doesn't disembark with the rest of his friends, so I'd take him home too. Yikes. Yeah, I already know that happens. And that's not the first time I've heard of British Columbia being full of mice either. So, my wife's got to leave soon here. I got to double check what times it is. She's doing an overnight inventory in Lansing, so just making sure she's not knocking at the door trying to get in and get some stuff to go. We were going to actually find a place to camp near Lansing, but I messaged the MST group. I called a couple state parks, and nobody's open. Like, it's not crazy outside, but none of the state parks are open for at least a month. One of them was open in June. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, nobody's open. And so I was just kind of like, well, I mean, I'll look for state land, of course, because that's what my first plan was anyway. There's not shit anywhere near Lansing. Like, with a established trail going into state land, and the closest thing was maybe an hour and 15 minutes away from Lansing, and we're 2 hours and 30 minutes or so away from Lansing. So the plan
at that point you might as well go home.
Yeah, the plan was so she didn't have to drive all night because she worked today, and then she'd have to leave at 9 p.m. She'd get there at like 11-ish and then work throughout the night and then drive home in the morning. The plan for me, which makes sense in my head because she has bad eyes, was we packed up and drove before it was dark, got to the campsite, set up, monkey around at camp, eat dinner, have fun. Then we'd go to bed, and she'd take the FJ and go to work, which theoretically could have been 30 minutes away. Mm-hmm. And then she would work and then drive the 30 minutes back to camp. And then we could hang out for a while, she could rest, and then we could drive home later during the day. that was the theory until I started calling everybody, and no one was open. There was no space, so that's the downside. And I don't want to set up my tent in a Walmart parking lot, and that's just not, like, at that point it's not worth it for us. And I could drive her there tonight and we could stay all night in the truck, but that's not very fun either. So,
No.
Just gonna wave the white flag and let her drive by herself. It's not that I don't trust her to drive, I just don't trust other people. Like, I'm worried about my truck and making it the 2 hours, and if she's gonna have what she needs if something happens, and So we drove to Hudsonville and back, which is about 2 hours combined. So in theory, she should be okay. But it's just I don't like leaving it up to that, and I don't like having her, drive at night. She's got like early onset glaucoma, so like her eyes are already really bad. They will be getting continually worse. So driving at night, she can't really see jack shit.
Yeah, it's quite the track between here and Lansing.
Yeah,
and Lansing, should say.
And her, and the company doesn't give a shit, So I was trying to make it a little easy on her by having her drive a little earlier, or at least me drive a little earlier, and that way, if anything did happen, I was prepared. I was there. I could help out. So yeah, bummer, but I guess it is what it is, right? Can't baby. Not that I'm babysitting her, but you can't sit there and like protect them the whole time, or it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Try to get one or two more. I think this one's going to be a shorter episode just because of the fact that me and Mark want to both get off.
Yeah.
And there's no Alex, and despite what everybody may think, I don't like to talk this much. Reading people's stories is a lot of jaw jabbing. Here's one. Got sick in a remote place in Africa's east coast while on my overlanding trip. Couldn't even cough without accidentally shitting my pants. Days and days of this, he said. I took Imodium as if they were candy. Water tasted like shit. And even being treated, and the people with me telling me they couldn't taste anything bad on it. And they were fine. Went on several remote scuba trips like this. I stubbornly refused to let the sickness stop me from enjoying once-in-a-lifetime trip, so I left my dignity back at base camp and jumped on the boat with 15 other people and no bathroom every day for 3 consecutive days to get to remote diving destinations with the worst case of diarrhea I have ever had in my life. Luckily, all three days were how does he have this word here? Were all about a gurgly and painful belly, but no accidents on the boat or underwater. Though I would run to the bathroom shortly after coming back to land. No regrets. I only got better almost immediately once I left the area. Yeah. I can't say I haven't had something like that happen before. Alright, let's do the last one that Mark just sent. The title has Never Been More Terrified. Last night, the wife and I attempted our first overland trip. We drove to Oh, damn it, dude! Why'd you have to do this one? We drove to to Arkansas.
You know this one?
No, but it's in the Ozarks, and I was just talking about doing the Ozarks soon. But we drove to Arkansas, went to the Ozark National Rainforest, or National Forest, not Rainforest. What am I talking about?
Rainforest.
Yeah. There's only one of those in the country that I know about. I think that's in Washington. That's the Hoh National Rainforest, I think it is. But anyway.
Yeah.
We found a path and traveled up it, only to find out there was a cemetery back there. So we backed out and continued through the mountains, found another little trail and decided to make camp. Now it's about 7:30 p.m. and pitch black. I set up the tent and got a fire going while the wife decided to go look for more wood. She came back with several logs and something caught my ear. I asked if she had heard anything and she told me no. So I didn't think about it much and continued to set up my camp. About an hour later, we hear out in the woods a good distance away what sounded like a whooping to me. To me and the wife, it sounded like a human scream mixed with an elk bugle. Okay. I said, please tell me you heard that, and she agreed, and maybe it's some people camping down the stream that just got drunk and yelling. I didn't believe this. We sat down next to the fire and were going through some old photos when about 50 yards to the left of my tent in the darkness we hear the same sound as before, but even louder and deeper. We both freeze. I grab my gun off of my hip and point it into the direction of the woods. The sound got louder and closer. I grab my phone and try to record what we were hearing. Right as I hit the record, it stops. Nothing, just silence. Well, some time goes by and I'm still a tad nervous. She is ready to sleep and we got into the tent. I, on the other hand, couldn't sleep, so I laid in the tent and could hear something moving around in the leaves and branches crackling. This continues on for about 30 minutes. A few hours go by and more sounds. Oh, and no more sounds. Okay. Woo. And no more sounds. Because I was about to say, dude, I'd just get the fuck out of there. I've been holding out on going to the bathroom out of pure terror when I decide about 3 a.m. to go for it. Anybody who's into like the cryptid and ghosts says never to do it at 3. That's the witching hour. That's the ghost hour, man. Handing my gun, I step out looking left and right. My fire is out, and so are my camp lights. I rigged up awesome. So, okay. He's being sarcastic. Okay, he's saying, and so did my camp lights that I rigged up. Awesome. So I began to go to the bathroom when all of a sudden there's a Sam howling scream noise is now on the other side of my campsite. I dive into the tent and spend the remaining of the night wide awake. I did some research in the morning, and the only thing that I could hear were similar stories of a thing called an Ozark howler. Needless to say, I will not be going back anytime soon. That's crazy. You know, I've heard stories similar to that, and there are a couple animals that could make something like that.
Oh, yeah.
There are certain owls that will make a sound that would be kind of close to that. All right, now we got to hear... Oh, go ahead.
Real quick. So you know how we were doing cords and calf last year? I think the one time when we were in Everett.
Yeah.
We camped out the night before, and down the road we heard a whoop, and that was it. It was the scariest thing. We're like, what the fuck? And like, we go out to the trail and we're looking down the trail and there's nothing. We're like, what the fuck?
Was it
we
like
waited for like a response?
Was it like the whoop when we had the? I think it was just a regular screech owl or whoop owl above Botch's early. You remember those? Where they're like, whoop.
I didn't hear that sound, but
you didn't?
Alex did. I wasn't there for. I don't think I was around when that happened.
The Botch's yearly? You were with us.
No, I was, but I don't.
Okay.
I don't think I caught the noise. I'm like, I don't know if I went to bed early or something.
You must have, because it was all night, brother. It was. There was 2 of them, and it was super scary because you can't hear owls fly; they're silent. So there was a pair of them going, whoop, 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 boo, whoop, 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 boo, like all night, and then it was. I knew exactly what they were, so I wasn't like scared. But what was eerie is it was dead silent, and they were making that noise, and then all of a sudden, it was like somebody turned on like Dolby surround sound. Because the other owl went across the clearing, and they were doing it at like the same fucking time. And so I was hearing it out of like both ears, and it was surrounding us, and it was just that whoop, 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 whoop. And I'm referencing back to that because it wasn't. I knew what they were, but it was eerie to hear them so close. And I was wondering if maybe that whoop sound was kind of what you heard.
Oh, I wouldn't know, but all I know is that it went off and like it was quiet. Man, I know it was like, what was that, back in October, November? I think it was October.
Yeah, but then again, so if Alex heard it too, he would have known what it was. Because he
didn't say anything about owl.
Yeah, so maybe he was something else. Who knows?
But there was no response to it, so we're like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, that is weird. So, for anybody who wants to know what a howler is, I looked it up real quick. In Arkansas folklore, a howler is a legendary creature said to dwell in the Ozarks. According to tradition, it is a creature that is bear-like in shape with dark-colored shaggy coat. And local traditions and documented sightings preserve the mystique of the Ozark howler, even if some people think it is a myth. In 2015, the Arkansas television station 4029 News reported that it had received photographs purported to be images of the creature from a viewer. The station contacted Arkansas's Game and Fish Commission, who responded that they had heard no claims of sightings of the creature, and said that the images that were sent to the station were a hoax. Of course they would. Of course. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Let's see here. 4029 TV. Oh, that's weird. That just, I mean, I don't know what to think about that. If it is a howler, it's like a terrier with a rat tail with antlers.
With
I
antlers?
don't know. Yeah, this is funny because, like, when I think of the Ozark howler or whatever you want to call this is not what I would picture.
No.
That's weird.
It just looks like a
basically,
jackalope.
Yeah, it's basically a jackalope, but instead of a rabbit, it's a cat. Or like a cat-like animal. Like the face almost looks like an what do you call those an otter. It's almost got like a face like an otter with spikes from a deer, a terrier body, and a rat tail, a long rat tail.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's just weird. And I would say that this is like a stuffed, like really bad, what do you call those? What do you call when they stuff animals? Taxidermy.
Oh, taxidermy.
I'd say this is like a taxidermy melt, but they have multiple pictures of this, same color, same patterns.
Different body movement.
Different body movements, and the feet are in different positions, so... Yeah. Weird. Could be just some Photoshop stuff, who knows? And the thing is we may never know.
Yeah.
They could be out there. This creature's pretty small by the size of it. Easy to miss. We have found weirder things. So maybe I'll ask Benji and Caleb Baker and see if they know anything about this howler creature from the Ozarks. I don't know. We might have to do a interview with Benji and see if he knows anything about it. Maybe Caleb. I know he knows. I know Caleb's into cryptid stuff a little bit, and like some of the. It depends on who you talk to, but quote unquote conspiracies. So we'll have to. I'll have to ask them and see what they think if any of this is real or is actual legend from the area. So. All right, that was a fun episode. With that, it's about 45 minutes, and I think we're ready to wrap it up. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, I'm ready to wrap it up.
Yeah, we're tired. Wife's getting ready to leave. We went through some cool stories, even ended it on a cryptid note. You know, Mark knows if I get talking about cryptids, I won't stop. So I'm going to leave it at this as the last topic, and we're going to move on. So... Without further ado, we will see you guys on the next one.
Yep. Later.